What's up, y'all? Today we're back with another video, and today we're going to be talking about where deep summer bass go and a few baits you can use to catch them. A few weeks ago we did where shallow bass go, and we got good feedback on that, so here we are with part 2. If you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button, it really helps us a lot. But before we jump into the video, I want to announce a giveaway. We're giving away a pack of Bama Crawl Color Rage Crawl, a 13 Fishing Poppin' Frog, and a Profound Outdoors 12 to 16 foot deep diving crankbait. These are all great baits, and the rules to enter are you have to follow us on Instagram, the link will be down in the description below, you have to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we're going to post something on Instagram about these baits, and you have to go like that picture and tag one friend in the comments. The giveaway starts today and ends when we post our next video, so make sure you do all the rules so you'll enter. Let's jump into the video. Alright, y'all, before we jump into any types of baits, I want to talk about where the deep summer bass go. What you're going to want to look for is ledges, points, humps, brush piles, and rocks. Those are the main 5 things you're going to want to look for. It's very simple. Now let's jump into types of baits. Alright, the first bait I want to talk about is a deep diving crankbait. The deep diving crankbait is a very, very good bait to use. I love throwing deep diving crankbaits. It's the first thing I go to when I try to find deep summer bass. And the colors I like using are chartreuse and blue. So chartreuse body and a blue back, that's my go-to color. I feel like it's way more productive for me than any other color I use. You can use other colors. This is just the one I use the most, and majority of my crankbaits are this color. And you can throw this bait around anywhere I listed in the beginning. You can throw it anywhere, and what you're gonna wanna look for is you want this lip to be digging into the ground as you reel it. So you're gonna wanna be able to feel the bottom, because what that does, it triggers the fish to bite. It hits and it like shoots off to the side, and it creates an erratic action, and the fish will eat it up. The line I like using is 14-pound fluorocarbon. I like using fluorocarbon because it has a more direct contact to the crankbait because it sinks, and you'll get more natural and deeper presentation because it sinks. Fluorocarbon is just a go-to line when I throw crankbaits. And the rod and reel I like using, I'll start with the rod. The rod I like using is a medium heavy, moderate action rod. I like using medium heavy because it's not too heavy and it's not too light, so it handles the crankbaits I throw really well. And I like using moderate action because it keeps those fish pinned on the treble hooks really well. And if you used a fast action rod, the treble hooks would bend out super easily, or they'll just rip out of the fish's mouth. So moderate action, medium heavy power. And the reel I like using is a slow gear ratio reel, 5:3 to 1, 6:1 to 1, very low, because that low gear ratio really saves your arm when you're trying to reel deep crankbaits all day long, because this lip is so big, it catches a ton of water, and it's really hard to reel it through when you're cast 100 times. So having that low gear ratio reel will really help you save your arm as you're throwing these deep diving crankbaits. Alright, the next thing I want to talk about is a Carolina rig. Carolina rigs are my go-to slow presentation for deep fish. It consists of a bullet weight. I like using tungsten, and you determine the weight on how deep you're going. Right now I have an ounce weight because I was fishing pretty deep the other day. So just play with that, figure out the right weight you want. The lighter the weight to get is the best to go. So it consists of a bullet weight, a bead, a snap swivel, and a leader, and an EWG style hook. You can use other worm hooks, but I like EWG style more. I'll show you specifically the type of hooks I like using. They're Mustad 5/0 Ultra Point EWG style hooks. They're amazing. They're not too big, but they're very strong. And the line I like using with a Carolina rig is 14-pound fluorocarbon. Just like the crankbaits, I like using 14-pound fluorocarbon because I just feel like it's strong enough but not too light. And the rod I like using with the Carolina rig is a medium heavy fast action rod. I like using fast action and medium heavy because it's just the right combination for me. Not too light, not too heavy. It's the perfect amount. It's very sensitive. And The reel I like using is relatively fast. It's a 3-to-1 gear ratio. I like having that gear ratio because once I drag it as far as I can, I like cranking it back up to me really fast so I can get another cast in. More efficient for me. That's the setup I like using for a Carolina rig. Now the worms I like throwing for a Carolina rig are the Guggen Squad Kraken Crawl in Bama Crawl color, and the Rage Baby Crawl in Okeechobee Crawl color. You can throw any other color, like natural colors. I like watermelon reds, but these two are really good baits you can use, but you could also, like I said, go to those watermelons. Those are the worms I like throwing with that. You can also throw lizards on it. You can throw any other worm. I just like throwing those crawfish imitators and those style of colors. And so let's jump into the next bait. All right, y'all, the next bait I'm gonna talk about is a football head jig. I like using the football head jigs because if you're trying to throw on rocks, the football head jig is designed specifically for rocks and it won't get stuck as easily in between the cracks of the rocks. And the colors I like throwing are natural colors, watermelon reds. But this one has a little bit of chartreuse in it, adds a little something extra. You know, sometimes fish like it, sometimes they don't. You just have to play around with it. And the trailer I like throwing on this is a twin tail grub. And I try to match the colors as best as I can so I'll have the most perfect presentation I can allow for. And I like throwing these around anything I listed in the beginning. You can throw it, they're so versatile, you can throw them anywhere. And the line, rod, and reel I like using for a football head jig is 14 or 15 pound fluorocarbon. Either one works, or you can even go up to a 17 pound fluorocarbon depending on how much weight you want to put on it. So if it's a lighter football head jig, 14 pounds would work well. But if it's heavier, like an ounce, you want 17 pound fluorocarbon. It's really strong and it doesn't stretch too much. It stretches because it's fluorocarbon, but it's perfect for a football head style jig. And the rod and reel I like throwing with a football head jig is a medium heavy or heavy power rod with fast or extra fast action. Depending on how much weight you want to put on it determines if you're going to throw a heavy or medium heavy power rod. Right now I have a pretty heavy jig on, so I have a heavy rod, but the gear ratio I like to throw with it is a fast gear ratio, so it's 8.5 to 1. That's pretty fast, so just like the Carolina rig, I like to throw it, drag it as far as I can, and then just reel it right back to me really fast so I can get another cast in. And that's the setup I like throwing for the football head style jig. Oh my gosh. That was bad. Oh my gosh. Okay. The next bait we're going to talk about is shaky heads and drop shots. Right here, if you don't know what a drop shot is, it is a drop shot style hook with a drop shot worm on it, with a leader, and a drop shot weight on it. I like using lighter drop shot weights. I don't know why, but the lighter drop shot weight and the lighter shaky head requires me to have a lighter setup, okay? This is a medium power rod with a spinning reel. I like using the spinning reels because they allow me to cast the lighter objects easier. So if I had a bait caster, I'd have to like set it up and twist gears to make sure I can throw this thing, but it's a lot easier just to pick up a spinning rod and throw it. So, and you can cast way more accurate with lighter lures on a spinning rod. And the line setup I have on here is light braid with a 12-pound fluorocarbon leader. And I like that fluorocarbon because it's not visible to the fish. I fish in pretty clear water, so I like having braid as my main line and fluorocarbon as my leader, so the fish won't be able to see the braid that easily. And the worms I like using for the drop shot and shaky head are the KVD Perfect Plastics Finesse Worm and Watermelon Red Flake. This is my go-to shaky head worm. I love this worm. It's my favorite shaky head worm. And for drop shot, I like using the KVD Perfect Plastics Dream Shot and Green Pumpkin. Those are my go-to baits for drop shot and shaky head. And they're both natural colors, as you can tell. You can use any colors you want. Whatever you feel confident with, use it. This is what I feel confident in, so that's why I use it. Now that's enough for the shaky head and drop shot. Let's jump to our last bait. The last bait we're going to talk about is an underspin. I like using underspins because instead of just a normal like fish head, I like having that blade on the bottom. It adds a little extra bling to it and a little bigger of a presentation. And so the worms I like to use with a fish head are ghost white or pearl white, and I like using a more natural kind of bluegill color on it. Covers both the bait fish that are in my lake, and it works really well for me having these two colors I can switch on and off and throw. Now, the rod, line, and reel I like throwing with the underspin is 14-pound fluorocarbon. I like having that fluorocarbon because it sinks, faster sink rate when using a fish head. And I like using a medium heavy fast action rod with a 7-to-1 gear ratio reel. I like having that faster gear ratio reel, so in case I want to just reel it really fast back to me. But what I like throwing these things, I like throwing them past the structure. And for all these baits, you throw it past the structure and reel it or drag it past. But this, you want to slow roll it on the bottom so it's just barely above the bottom. And that tail is just slowly kicking back and forth. That's a great way to catch fish if none of the other baits are working. I don't throw this one as much, but you can catch fish using it a lot. Well guys, that was it for today's video. I hope you liked it. I hope you learned something. And don't forget about the giveaway. We're giving away crankbait, frog, and a pack of worms. So go check our Instagram, the link will be down in the description below. And we'll see you in the next video.